Hey everyone, I'm Zain Baig, this is Auto Group, and this is the 2020 Lexus RC350 F-Sport all-wheel drive. So what they did for the 2020 model year is really give it a beautiful facelift in the front and in the back. So first we're going to start off with the front of the car. They got the new LED headlights up front to make it look really nice and premium, and these are really important changes over here for the spindle grille. They made it smaller and a little bit more, you know, like the new RX has a kind of more composed spindle grille, which makes it look actually really good. I think these changes should really get into the new IS whenever they make the IS refresh or totally different model. Then these wheels, these alloy wheels are really gorgeous. They have such a dark gray tone. They, at certain light angles, they do look matte, but they are pretty shiny and beautiful. This car is $58,000 the way this one is spec'd with all-wheel drive and with the F-Sport package. So basically the F-Sport package, what you do get is the Sport Plus mode to sharpen the transmission response, and you do get a really nice look up front and in the back, obviously, like I showed you, and you get the adaptive variable suspension as well. So the other really interesting thing about this car is that the all-wheel drive model gets the 6-speed automatic transmission instead of the 8-speed, which we all know with the 8-speed is better, but still it is getting the job done, I think so. But it should still be updated. Maybe they should have an 8-speed, or maybe even the new 10-speed from the LC or LS in this car with all-wheel drive. But because, you know, I mean, the competitors are going to 9-speed, 8-speed, 10-speed, whatever. So I would like that to go to Lexus as well. The interesting thing about this car that many people complain about is the reverse style rake that this car has, meaning the front is actually higher than the rear in terms of the side post. When you look at it, there's more of a wheel gap in the front wheel well than in the rear one. That is, I mean, it's not like a deal breaker for me at all. I still think this car looks fantastic, but they should maybe tone down the system a little bit more, make it a little lower. I know it's because of the all-wheel drive mainly, but still, even on the rear-wheel drive one, it would be nice if this car was just like dug into the ground like the LC500 is. Interesting thing about this car is that it's $58,000, and the Toyota Supra just came out, which makes like almost 380 horsepower, and although they claim it's 335, but we all know it's more than that. That is a much more rear-wheel drive pure sports car for all of those people who are wondering what's the difference if you were to buy this car or one of those like the new BMW Toyota product, which is the Supra. This car is obviously more of a GT car. The reason being is because it doesn't make as much horsepower, and even though it has a very stiff, nice handling system overall with the adaptive variable suspension, it's still very comfortable with its nice leather seats, and you got heated and cooling, and you got rear seats as well, which can actually fit people. If you want to see that work in action, you should go watch our RC300 video where I sat in the back, Omar sat in the front, my dad sat in the front. It was really crazy. We got fit in there pretty well, and we're all above 6 feet, so that's really nice. Anyways, I guess we shall cover a couple of the infotainment features. It is a nice red interior inside, so let's go take a look at that first. Okay, so getting into the interior is pretty interesting because this car doesn't look too low on the outside because of that rake that they have, but still, when you get in, it is pretty low. Anyways, if we take a look at a couple other features, this does actually have a moonroof. It's not too big, probably because of structural rigidity from this chassis platform, which came out in like 2015. They can make it a little bit bigger, but hopefully for the next model year, they should make it an all-new chassis, which is gonna have a much bigger open roof. That would really make it a nice airy experience in here. But still, this red interior looks great. I believe this is Nulux because in the F-Sport cars you get Nulux, whereas in the non-F-Sport cars you get leather. The cool detail that I really like is the new start-stop button carried over from the LC500, which is very nice. Otherwise, you do also have a couple different trim pieces in the interior over here. I know this is like a little plasticky, but it looks very premium. And of course, it does actually have your aluminum trim as well, which is really good. I wish these pieces were also aluminum. These are a little plastic, but not a big complaint. Anyways, the interesting thing about this car is that it does make 311 horsepower and I believe about 267 pound-feet of torque. This got a slight power boost of 5 horsepower from the previous RC. So this should be a little bit different to drive, because when we saw the GS get that 5 horsepower boost for like the 2016 model year, it did drive quite differently than the 2015 GS because of a bunch of changes they made overall. And another thing is this watch, this clock over here is really, really beautiful. Obviously the time isn't set right now, but when you do set it and when you get into the car, you see all of them like, you know, go into place, which is really good. These controls, some people love them, some people hate them. These little white knobs for the volume, I think they're decent. I don't really mind these types of things in these types of cars that aren't too expensive. But if this was an LC500, obviously you would require much more better equipment and material inside, but still it's really good. Anyways, this car does have your pre-collision system. It also has your lane keep assist, and the coolest thing is that the gauge cluster moves when you press one of the buttons to circle through your menu, which is really, really attractive in my opinion for this car and for its audience. And then you can change it into Eco, that's normal, that's Sport, and then Sport Plus. Sport Plus should have, I think, gotten like the thick white meter just like the LLFA and the LC500 are. But what's really cool is that you can also have a custom mode. Let me show you how to do that. A lot of people don't know how to do that. If you go into menu with this updated UI for the infotainment system, you go into setup, vehicle, drive mode customization, powertrain, you could put it to normal, power, or eco. If you put it into power, and then you could put the chassis, because this is the F-Sport, so you get the adaptive variable suspension, you could put it into sport as well. And then climate, you could put into eco. What I think is the benefit of putting it into eco is that you will probably use less of your air conditioning when you're driving. So it's a nice little, I mean, they don't let you customize too much. They don't let you customize steering weight. Speaking of steering wheel, this does have heated steering, which is really nice. The feature I'm noticing right now, like that's really important because it's really cold outside. I think we should go ahead and get on the drive. Wow, the transmission actually shifts up really, really fast. This does look like a slight update because we have reviewed the IS350. We've done two different videos on the IS350, never on the RC350, but it is the same car, right? So I'm noticing that the transmission is much smoother in this one. And it has some pumped in sound because it's the F-Sport, and the sound is so authentic. I think it's really authentic. Like maybe if it was off, I don't know. A bunch of people are complaining about this active sound, but I think they are crazy. Wow, it has such a crisp steering ratio. We noticed this in the RC300 as well. And seating position is good, but I do feel a little high. I wish the seat could go a little lower. I think this is at the lowest setting, which is what I put it at. Otherwise, I mean, still, but the benefit of sitting up a little higher is that the visibility is really good. And you can see a little bit of the bulge of the hood, which is nice too. It's not like the bulge of the RCF's hood, which is really, really nice to look at. And over some minor imperfections in the road, it's still very, very nice and composed. I really like this adaptive variable suspension. I also loved it in the ES, the new Lexus ES350 F-Sport. It's very fluent in its changing, which is what I'm really glad about, that it has such a nice, crisp response. And this is not even in Sport Plus. We are just in normal right now because the shifts are so quick. Thank God they really fixed that issue that I had with this car not being as smooth, or in the IS350 in terms of power delivery, and a little bit of that understeer from the all-wheel drive system. Wow, the steering is very sharp. The steering wheel, what's really good about it is if you let go of it at this type of speed, it's very nice and stable, which is great. It provides a bunch of confidence when you're driving, you know, on a road like this that doesn't really have any boundaries around you. You know, it's just kind of like an exposed type of open road. Sounds really nice. I think it should have downshifted one more gear to get a better, more torquey response out of the engine, but it was still, it's overall well laid out in terms of transmission response for the most part. tires, but it's providing a lot of fun. What a wow. See, it should downshift one more gear. That's why it needs the 8-speed or the 10-speed. The engine sound is so loud, which is what I love about this RC. The way they tune these performance-y type of variants of their cars is pretty different. And I'm not talking just because of the F-Sport. I'm saying like even the normal RC, the engine sound from the outside, you could really hear it when it goes by, which is cool. One more downshift each time, just one more downshift, and it'll just, yeah, I want it to take off when you put your foot down. And my foot is almost all the way down, but it's gotta go, you know? There we go. That's the type of response. It's not downshifting more gears like it should be in Sport Plus. Man, every day this thing must be a joy to drive. It's like a baby LC500. That's the type of vibe I'm getting from this car. Very interesting. And it's a little bit more unfiltered than the LC500. The LC500 is a car that's much more luxurious and more comfortable and a better GT car than this. But I'm getting vibrations through the steering wheel, in the footwell. All the things that I wanted in the LC500 to be unfiltered are in this car. Almost all of them. Maybe the transmission being fixed would be much better suited for this car. I wish it had an active exhaust that made like some pops or some cool noise, you know, some burbles at least on the upshift, because this car really would just become an even better package with that and really become like a 4 Series competitor. I mean, it already is a very nice competitor, but just because of those cars, how they make more power, they could maybe, that would be sick if this car was supercharged, you know, with a supercharged V6 like from the Lotus Evora. That is a Toyota engine. That would be awesome. I mean, it would really make this car even more of a total package. Paddle shift response overall is actually better than I expected for this car, because I was thinking that it was going to be a little less enjoyable, kind of like the RC350, and it just actually downshifted for me, which is actually pretty handy. I would recommend you get this car in rear-wheel drive with the 8-speed automatic transmission. That would make this even more fun. It's just a great car overall. Very comfortable as well. The suspension is just so nice. It's a joy to drive. Maybe if we put this in Eco, the most relaxed setting. Let's see how it changes up. Wow, the shifts are so fast in Eco. This is a nice mode too. Maybe your custom mode should be a stiff suspension with like a normal or Eco type of setup for these really nice quick shifts. This would be a great car to also drive out on the track. A lot of people complain about how this car is heavy and this and that. All these things that honestly really do not matter if you're just going for a touring track day. None of this matters. We took our own ES on the track, and that was such a blast because it was this big sedan, a pretty nice and wide car, long car that was, you know, actually tearing it up pretty well on the track. So this is really fun to drive. Overall, the time with the 2020 Lexus RC350 has been fantastic. I think it drives so good in this segment of like the 4 Series coupe and, you know, like the E-Class coupe maybe, or the C-Class coupe. I mean, it's a joy to drive. Maybe not like C43 level or 440i level in terms of power, but in terms of the looks and the quality inside, it totally hits all those marks. If you want a really nice, comfortable GT sporty coupe to drive, you know, on the weekends, this is a fantastic car. What would make this car even better is if it had a better, you know, the 8-speed transmission, even in the all-wheel drive model. And if it had a top-down version of this car, this would be a fantastic car with its naturally aspirated engine that sounds so good. Even right now, it's so loud. It's way louder than my car, and my car also has the 3.5 liter Lexus V6. It sounds totally different though. Man, the looks are so good of this car, and this color really picks up the shape of the car really nicely, and at some angles it looks totally mad. So special thanks to McGrath Lexus of Westmont and Art Cool, who we talked to, for providing this vehicle for review. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Auto Group. Make sure to like and subscribe for weekly videos, and we'll see you guys in the next one.